Hi everyone, in this video tutorial I'm going to be showing you how I've managed to set up my Novation SL Mk3 so that it controls both hardware and software synthesizers at the same time, and it does this via integration with Ableton, and the hardware synthesizers are connected all to Ableton along with the keyboard. A couple of things to show you how I've done my setup. First, it's important to note is that everything's connected via USB. So the Novation's going straight into the computer via USB. The Behringer TD3 synths going in via USB, and the Roland TR8S drum machines going in via VST. And what I'm going to do is going to set the keyboard up with both these instruments, deal with MIDI latency, audio latency, and then I'm going to show you how you can then integrate VSTs into your setup as well, so that everything's running perfectly in time. You'll see in Ableton, in my template, I've got 8 MIDI channels set up to match the 8 templates that I've created. You do that via the software that Novation provide you with, components I think it's called. 8 tracks on the selectable on the keyboard, and they're all individual templates. So for example, in this case, I've got the TR8S set up on template 1, I've got the TD3 set up on template 8, and then the ones in between can be used for anything, VST instruments, whatever you want. Couple of things to show you as well before we do anything. Go to options in Ableton and make sure that the reduce latency when monitoring option is ticked selected, and you can see there it is in my case, so that's fine. I'm also going to show you the way that my MIDI link page is set up within Ableton. You can see that the TR8S and the TD3 in this case, both track and remote selected, the sync options off, and obviously in this case the sequencer, the controlling these devices is the Novation, so we don't want the individual sequences of the TR8S or the TD3 running, so they're switched off. You can see for the inputs and outputs of the Novation, that's everything track, sync and remote is selected, and that's for the Novation SL Mk3 MIDI port and the in control port, which is called MIDI input 2 on a PC. I believe it might be different on a Mac, but hopefully you get the gist. And that's for inputs and outputs. And what I'd also just like to show you is if you click the triangle for any of the devices, you'll see that I've not altered in any way the MIDI clock sync delay setting. It's set to 0 and I'm not going to change that. All the changes we're going to make is going to come from within Ableton on the track that we're working on. So once that you're happy you've reflected these settings, you can go in, and what I'm going to do, template 1 I've already said is the Roland drum machine. I'm going to select the external instrument device and drop that onto the track from Ableton. The MIDI out is going to the TR8S on channel 10. It might be different depending on what you set your device up to, but I've set the TR8S up on 10. Channels 3 and 4 for audio input to my sound card, which is a Focusrite sound card with various inputs and outputs, but it's 3 and 4 that I've got selected there. I've already set all that up, so the next thing to do is to go to the external instrument track, which is the TR8S, and make sure that you select the MIDI input port, which is Novation SL Mk3 option. The channel we're receiving, as per my template that I've set up on the keyboard, and it's important to note it's not the drum machine, it's the keyboard, is channel 10 as well. I've just done that so it matches. And if we press a key now on the keyboard, the root note should play the kick drum. Perfect. So far so good. So I've already set up the first pattern on the template for the drum machine to play a simple 4/4 kick over 1 bar, and I'm going to just play that so you can hear that. You can see the sequencer running hopefully with the highlighted notes selected. And what I'm going to do now is going to record that into Ableton. You can see there straight away that there's an issue, a timing issue. If I go to the second bar, the note should be starting directly on the second bar. That's where it's programmed in the sequencer, but it's actually coming in slightly late. You can see that the gap that I'm referring to with my mouse. So we need to fix that issue. As I've already said, I've not changed any of the settings for the MIDI clock sync delay, but what I am going to do is show you this option, which is the track delay, which appears at the bottom of each track. If it's not there, it's this button here that switching on and off now, which will bring it. And I think I've already done some tweaking beforehand to save a little bit of time, and I think it's around the 17 mark. So what we'll do now is we'll record that sequence again and see if it's fixed the issue. Okay, you can see there it's a lot more accurate already. In fact, zoom right in it, it's slightly off, but feel free to play around with the track delay figure and you can get that absolutely perfect. So you get the gist there, hopefully, that there is a latency issue. There will be for any computer setup, no matter how powerful it is, and that's how you resolve that. So what I'm next going to do is record an audio track of that external instrument, just to show you that even though the MIDI is now running in time, there'll be an issue with the audio recording. So I'm just selecting the external in. Track 3 and 4 is my inputs on my sound card for the drum machine. I'm just going to disable the output because we'll just hear the two. In fact, we can switch this one off now and put the actual track on, and you'll hear the actual end result rather than what's coming through the external instrument. So select that arm, and if we record that now, we're actually recording the sequence that has been recorded into Ableton. And again, straight away it's clearly obvious that that kick drum, that's the first transient there, it's coming in. It should be coming in on the second bar there, but it's coming in late. And there's a much quicker way of measuring this and fixing this issue than the MIDI latency. So if I just zoom out a little bit to show the problem, and if you look in this area in a second as I measure this with my mouse, you'll see that as a figure appears here, and that's the figure we're going to use to resolve the problem. So if I go to the first transient, which is there, and if you look, the figure is 21 milliseconds, so it's telling us we need to put 21 milliseconds there into that track for the audio to record on time or thereabouts. You can make some fine tuning, but hopefully this should do it. Right, you can see there the first transient slightly early now instead of late, so and again, it's just, I don't want to take too long doing this. I want to just show you how you can fix the problem yourself. That's looking quite good. Let's have a proper close look. I'd say that's perfect. We can go right in and it's moving very slightly, so that's pretty much perfect on the beat. So at this point we can be confident that audio's timing correctly now from the drum machine, and the sequencer that's coming into Ableton is recording pretty damn perfect as well. So we can actually say at this point now, this figure 17 milliseconds we can use that now on any of the other MIDI tracks and be confident that the sequencer of the SL is pretty damn perfect with the sequencer of Ableton. So with that in mind, we'll go to template 8. Yeah, we need to select the SL Mk3 and drop an external instrument onto it. Select the TD3 from the external instrument, and I've got that on channel 1, I think. Yeah. Now it's a mono synth on it, which has one mono output, and I think that's coming out on channel 2 into the sound card. So if we now select template 8 on the keyboard and start playing notes, we should hear the famous 303, and we do. Perfect. Just checking the sequencer if I've got any patterns loaded for just clearing it for the TD3. No. Right, so I'm just going to program something in. not sure what that'll sound like, but you get the gist. So just to show you that the issue's still there, if you like, with the MIDI timing, I'm going to record, just turn off the drum machine for now. I'm going to record the MIDI from the sequencer again and I've not altered this setting, so it's going to be at 0 still. So that should record the MIDI now. And you can see there, it's still there. So on the second bar, you can see that it's coming in late, and all it needs to, hopefully you'll appreciate this now, is stick 17 in for the MIDI track delay, and that'll bring that in a lot more accurately. Perfect, so you can see there it's fixed it straight away. So I'm just going to record the audio again and repeat the process. So the MIDI's fine, we'll record the audio. Oops. Let's I was recording my mic then. So let's stick an audio track in to do that. External in from channel 2, which is the output of the TD3 coming into my sound card. Right, so we should now turn the external instrument audio off and record. And you can see there straight away again, that transient should be coming at the beginning of, at the exact start of the second bar, and it's not. So if you look in this area again, you'll see there's it'll probably be a different figure from the drum machine. Each manufacturer will have different issues and different figures. So that transient's coming in 24. So if we put 24 milliseconds on the audio track for the TD3, we should now record that perfectly, or thereabouts. We can make some alterations as before. So I'm not going to mess around with this too much. You know what to do now, how to resolve that. But I'm going to say that they're all set up now, as near as damn it, perfect. And so if I just play the sequencer now from the SL. Okay, so again, my next thing to demonstrate is to put a VST in, just to complete the tutorial. So plugins, I'm going to drop this onto number 5, select number 5 on my keyboard template. We'll just choose a sound, maybe a pad or something. Yep, there we go. So as before, we just need to check that it's going to the right. Channel 5, and that'll be going if I play. Right, perfect. So just going to program a little sequence on the SL. I'm just going to make sure that the gate's open as well, because it's a pad. I'm just going to, so it runs up over a few steps and not just one. And remember, the track delay should be 17 for that MIDI to be timed perfectly. Okay. So the principle follows for everything else. Now if you're to add another piece of external hardware, follow that way I've shown you there. If you want to add another VST, just remember to put the track delay so it matches the other input tracks. And this is all for review recording from the sequencer of the SL into Ableton. Hopefully you've found this video useful. Thanks very much.